Hello ninjas and welcome to the Coded Dojo. Hope you're all keeping well today. I'm going to be making an art program today, so I'm just going to show you what it does roughly while we wait for a few more people to arrive. So we've got all these sliders here that control our painting. So if we start, it all defaults to blue, I think. Yeah. So the way that this works is there's a sprite that follows around your mouse, and we can paint in, and when you press the space bar, it starts painting. You can change the color of what you're doing. You can change like the brightness. I think saturation is how, if I turn the brightness back up. Yeah, saturation is like how vivid the colors are. How close they are to white, maybe. Yeah. So how pale they are, how pale the colors are. There's a bit more to it than that, but and then we can even mess around with transparency. Yeah. So if I turn that up a bit more, you can still see what's behind it. It looks a bit funky because of the way that we're painting here. And the moment I stop moving my mouse, it sort of leaves behind these little dots. And if you keep going over, it sort of gets darker and darker and darker. And then if we press this little cross, it erases everything. And there's even the ability to choose colors. I've only got one programmed in at the moment. That's this green over here. But when you click on that, doesn't matter what settings you've changed. Well, brush size stays the same, I think. Once you click on that, it goes back to green. So we can change it to all sorts of things. Now it's black. So as soon as we click on this, back to green again. So that's basically how it's going to work. All right, let's see who's here so far. Welcome AD, welcome AJ, welcome Mazzietti. How's it going? Hope you guys are keeping well. What should I paint while we give it a few more minutes, a few more people to arrive? Give me some suggestions. Actually, tell you what, give you to start off, just because I have limited artistic ability. Let's paint like a space scene. So tell me what should be in this space scene. And I'll start painting it while we just give a few minutes for people to arrive. Now, this will be interesting because this will be like, I'll have to try and remember how to get certain colors. Saturation, wait. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's make this. Uh-oh. Already got a little... We'll just call that one a shooting star. So what should I paint in my space scene, guys? You can hear my chunky keyboard, probably. So it's interesting, actually. Someone else might be able to solve this problem. Originally, I was going to do this with a mouse down functionality, so that when you clicked, it painted. But I found that it was really, like, it wouldn't work, and there were ways of doing it, but they were getting more and more complicated. So I'd be interested to see if one of you guys could solve the mouse down problem. I've got it keyed to spacebar at the moment. All right, let's do a nice big planet, shall we? I remember 28 is like green. So how big's this? There we go. And then if I turn that down, make some little squiggles here. Oh, I can even transparency up. That doesn't look very good. All right, let's try something else. Let's try it really small, transparency really high. Okay, that seems all right. Oh, you've shared some stuff on, oh God, how's it even pronounced? Replit. Have you, Mezietti? Some Python stuff from our last session on Tuesday. Very nice. How's it going, Blake? So, what suggestions? What should I paint in my space scene? Well, we just give it a few more minutes for people to arrive, and Mezietti gets his laptop. Oh wait, Mezietti says my mum won't let me. He's like, oh no. That's unfortunate. I think, goodness, all right? Let's see what color 81 is, shall we? We'll find out together. Transparency up. What is it like? It's interesting. Brightness is high. Color. Oh, transparency is up. That's the problem. Transparency being up means it's transparent. That is not a good color. Let's try this one. Green and purple do not go together, turns out. Well, there we go. Oh, I'll do a sun. That's a good idea. Oh, goodness. What color is yellow? I can check this, because this is based on the same values that Scratch uses for colors. So yellow will be like 17. Sure. Let's try 17. Color 17. Let's make this really big. Transparency high. Brightness is high. Oh no, transparency low. I'm gonna get that confused. All right, and then there we go. Nice big yellow sun. And then if I kind of mess with this, I can kind of maybe I can take it further to red. A bit smaller. Brightness high, maybe. Oh wait, do the same thing. I expect the transparency. There we go. It's a bit smaller again. It's an interesting sun. There might be a better way of drawing suns. Not gonna lie. And then there we go. All right, so let's make this program, shall we? That should be enough time for everyone to arrive here. So I think everyone who's here is pretty familiar with Scratch. So I won't do all of the normal stuff, sort of preamble for how we do Scratch projects. So let's just get straight into the coding. I'll assume that everyone who's here, everyone who's watching is familiar with Scratch. So let's erase all this. Goodbye, art. Goodbye. Okay. Move this over here. Move you over here. All right. Let's create. If anyone is not familiar with Scratch, write in chat and I can help you. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make this art program ourselves. And as I was saying before, there are a few interesting things that you can do a bit differently if you like. So first things first, let's set up some actually no, first things first. You guys may or may not have done this. Probably most of you have done this at least once. In the bottom left corner, there's a blue button. Hover over that now, and it should say Add Extension. Click on that. Now, there's actually a bunch of different extensions that you can add. You can make video sensing games and do like video games where you've got to where it will detect your movement and that kind of thing. A lot of people have used text-to-speech because that's kind of cute. And then some of this stuff is more for like physical robots and electronic stuff that you need to actually plug into your computer, so not everyone has those. This is one that I haven't used much before, music. But today, we are going to use the pen option. Click on pen. And now you'll notice underneath where it says My Blocks, you should now have this additional extension called pen, which has a bunch of its own code in there, lines that we can use. So what we're going to do is let's have a look at what different things we can do with the pen. So for one thing, we can have set pen. We have let's get a line out which says set pen color to, and then it's got a picture of a color. So you are probably familiar with this. This is the color palette that Scratch uses. It's got 3 values: color, saturation, and brightness. Now, what's the lowest value and what's the highest value? Write your answers into chat. All 3 of them are the same. They all have a number value that goes from a really low number to a really high number. What is the lowest number and the highest number for these 3 values? Color, saturation, and brightness. Hope you've got your answers in, because the answer is, if you've been playing with this as I have, the lowest value is 0, the highest value is 100. So that's important for us to remember for next time. So you can have code that sets the pen color to sets the pen color to a color that you choose out of this. Correct, Blake. Very correct. Well done. The other thing that we can do AD has written 0 to, I think you meant to say 0 to 100, but there's an odd symbol in there. So the other way of changing the pen color, in fact, well, there's 2 ways. So we've done variables before. We've seen the difference between changing variables and setting variables, right? So changing variables will take what is already there and change it by a little bit. So if we have a color already, and we'll change that color to another color. But we want to just sort of set the color. So we want so if you grab set pen, and I think it defaults to color, drag that out, that code, and have a look. And then if you click on color, we can change 4 different things. Color, saturation, brightness. Now, we've seen what these do already. In Scratch, we've got color, saturation, and brightness. Brightness is kind of what makes goes from 100 is like the color in a really vibrant form, and it mixes in black, going all the way down to 0, which is always black. And saturation is the reverse. It starts with the color in its sort of most vibrant form, and then takes it all the way through to 0, which is white. So you can end up with very pale colors with saturation, and you can end up with very dark colors with brightness. And you can do things like if you set the saturation to 0, you'll have white, so you can get like all your grays and that kind of thing out of that. And there's one more thing as well, transparency, which you saw before. It basically just means how much of what underneath can be seen. So we've got these 4 variables, and we have one more. We have the pen size, and that's pretty simple. How wide is the pen as we're painting with it? All right. So let's set up our pen. Now, what our pen is going to do is going to follow our mouse around, and underneath it, it's going to draw with the pen, right? So so you can actually have anything that you want. You can use the Scratch Cat. You can use something else if you want. I am going to delete the Scratch Cat, and I am going to paint a new sprite that's just a little black dot. I'm going to make a little black circle. I don't want it to be very big. And one thing that's very important is that you make sure that you select your little black dot, or whatever it is, and make sure that it is centered. So, and then once you've made this sprite, call it pen. All right. So let's have a think about what we want to have happen. Let's start off. So first of all, we want this pen sprite to follow our mouse around constantly. So let's put that code in, shall we? How do we do that? Write your answers in chat if you already know. If you don't know, follow what I am doing. So first, we go to events. We grab a when green flag clicked, because we want this to happen from the very beginning of the game, and we want it to happen forever. So get a forever loop from control, and inside that forever loop, we go to motion, the dark blue category, and we grab a go to random position, put that inside, but we don't want the pen to go to a random position continually. You can hit play and see what that does. It just goes all over the place. So we want to click this white arrow where it next to where it says random position, and we want to say mouse pointer. And now we've got this little pen, this little black dot that follows around our mouse. We could even hide this if we wanted, but for now, let's just keep it. So we could probably hide this, and I think the pen would still come out. It'll be an interesting experiment to do. So then, let's create some code that means that we can draw. So after we've done that, let's grab an if statement. Let's put it right underneath go to mouse pointer. And I was using this one here, mouse down, but I found that it didn't work super well. There might be a solution to that, maybe using a variable that turns on and off. It'll be an interesting one. So you guys might be able to figure out a better solution for this, but I, for the meantime, just decided to go with something simple. So if key space pressed, then you go to In fact, we actually want something slightly different from this. We actually want an if then else. Because, well, let's see what happens first. If key space pressed, then pen down. So now, if you press the space bar, what happens? Does everyone have this working? Everyone's got the pen working? Now, the pen has gone down. If you can imagine, like, you've got your piece of paper, the pen is either down on the piece of paper, so it's drawing, or it's up, so it can be moving around but not drawing. We need a way for the pen to go up when the key space is not pressed. So, what do we need? Write the answers in chat. If you don't know the answer, that is fine. Follow me as I explain. We actually need not an if, then, we need an if, then, else. So pull this if, then out. Put in its place, right underneath go to mouse pointer, if, then, else. We want if space key pressed, pen down, else, what should we put in there? Pen up. Now let's try this. Now, hello there. I have a kitten on my lap. Say hello to the stream. Some cat emojis in chat for Jin, please. Not too many cat emojis though, just a couple. I don't want like giant blocks of cat emojis. So now we have it set up so that only when we are pressing down with the space bar does it draw. Now here's another thing. It doesn't erase what we've drawn. So let's create a sprite that will do that for us. I'll just make sure that everyone's all caught up. Is everyone going okay? Everyone's gotten this far? We've got our simple pen working. If, then, else. Anyone stuck? Anyone not working? Too many cat emojis. I'll show them anyway. When you make a post in chat, if you use that many emojis, it won't show until I approve it. So don't do that many cat emojis. Just do like a line of cat emojis, not like an entire block of them like that. Otherwise, I have to go through and manually approve them, and I can't be bothered all the time. It's just one of the things YouTube chat does. It doesn't like giant blocks of emojis. All right. So hopefully everyone's with me. Everyone's got their working pen. We can't change color or anything like that yet. It should just be this sort of dark blue right now. But you should be able to draw when you're holding down the space bar, and when you let go of the space bar, it's not drawing. Cool. Let's make a new sprite. So let's go to the bottom right corner, click on the cat face, because we want to choose a sprite here. Now, you can choose any emoji that you like. Not emoji. You can choose anything that you like. What about... I want the cross. Oh yeah, button. That's what I want. I like this little red button here. I'm just going to put this down in the middle. And I'm going to change the costume of it to be red. Just because I like the way that it looks. Yours can be anything. I would have liked some kind of trash can or something. That would have been cool, like a rubbish bin. Make it a bit smaller. Yeah, that seems good. And we're going to call this sprite Erase All. How's everyone going? Is everyone going okay? And then what we need to do is we need to make it so that when we click on this sprite, it gets rid of all of the drawing. Now we have this very handy line from our pen extension called Erase All. So let's drag that out into our Erase All sprite. and grab when this sprite clicked. So let's click on this, and let's see if it works. Yeah, it looks good. So every time we click on the little X, it should erase everything that we've drawn. Cool, good. So we should have that working now. We've got a little erase button that just blanks everything. You already made a code. Very nice, very nice. Glad to hear it. AD or AJ, not sure who's on today. Or both of you, maybe? All right. So what we're going to do now is let's figure out how to set up some variables that are going to dictate like how our pen works. So let's go to my blocks and let's click on make a block. And let's click on, let's call this beginning pen variables. I'll give you some time just to type that in. Beginning pen variables. So we should now have this define beginning pen variables, and we should have beginning pen variables over in my blocks. Everyone's got that so far? Oh, it's AJ today. Good to have you, AJ. Good to have you. So what we're going to do is this is going to set up all the variables that we need to control our pen at the beginning of our program. So everything, all the definitions for our beginning pen variables are going to go underneath define beginning pen variables. And where do we want this to be? This line that will run everything that's in define beginning pen variables. Where do we want this to go in our code? Put your answers in chat now. What line should it go underneath? I'll give you just a bit of time just to write that out into chat. It's going to go into this block. We're going to put it right underneath when green flag clicked. We don't want it inside the forever. That's pretty important. So, we should now have when green flag clicked, beginning pen variables forever. Let's put some stuff inside our defined beginning pen variables now. So let's grab, let's make 5 variables. So to do that, you go to variables, the orangey category, click on make a variable, and we need to make a variable that's called color. You can get rid of the my variable if you want. Let's make a variable called saturation. Hope you're looking forward to spelling these words, everyone. These are some tough words. Brightness. Transparency. I might even have spelt that wrong. Haha, spell check comes to my rescue. And brush size. Now, we did a lot about variables on Tuesday in our Python code, and one thing that's important is spelling your variables correctly, especially when you're using something like Python, and also just using good, what's it called? I'll get there. Actually naming the variables what they actually are, what they actually do. Using good naming conventions. So then what we need to do is we're going to grab a set, and mine says set brightness to 0, but you need to grab 5 of those, put them inside define beginning pen variables, so 5 of them, and then change them so that you've got set brightness to 0, set brush size to 0, set color to 0, set saturation to 0, set transparency to 0. Now, if anyone is having any trouble with having all 5 of those variables, you can, remember, check there should be 4 of them are in the set pen color. If you click on the white triangle in set pen color 2, that line, and one of them is set pen size. I've said brush size because I'm just used to that terminology. So we should have everything there. So the other thing that we're going to do now is we should have these 5 visible variables. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on the variables out on our actual Scratch screen, the top right corner. And it should, when you right-click on one, it should give you 3 options: a normal readout, a large readout, and we've used those before, or a slider. We haven't really used sliders before. One thing as well is once it's a slider, once you right-click on it again, it will give you an option to change the slider range. You can say what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value. Now it defaults to 0 to 100, which is fine. So we don't actually need to change the slider range. Although if you want, you could change the slider range for brush size so that the brush can't go lower than 1 maybe. You can't have a 0-sized brush. There's no point in that. And you could also make the brush much bigger than 100 if you wanted, able to go a lot larger. But for the rest of them, you need to right-click on the variable and select slider. Do that for all of them. And then what I did was I just kind of moved them around so that there were like 3 at the top and 2 in the corners of the bottom. How's everyone going? Anyone run into any problems? Anyone missed anything? Very nice, very nice. All right. So, what we need to do now is, these are just variables. They don't do anything yet, do they? So, what we need to do now is we need to make a new block. So we go to My Blocks, we click on Make a Block. So we called it Beginning Pen Variables. Let's say Update Pen with Variables. So we've made a new My Block called Update Pen with Variables. What this is going to do, well, let me show you first, and then if you don't understand, you can ask me. So you should see you've got your pen extension. Grab the Set Pen Color to, and then what are we going to set this pen color to? We're going to set it to our variable for color. Now I spell color with the British spelling, so I've got a U after the O, the second O that is. But that doesn't matter too much. It's actually an interesting question because some coding languages, when you type in color, they'll accept both British and American spellings of color, with or without the U. Okay, so we've got set pen color to the variable color. This is also that these sliders are going to work. So what we need to do is we need to make 4 more of these for each of the other variables that we've made. So set saturation, set pen saturation to our variable saturation. And this is why if you've given them silly names, you're now going, oh no, why have I given them silly names? This makes it so much harder. Set pen brightness to get your brightness variable. And you can see we've got our set. We're just grabbing the variables from our variable category here and putting them inside where it says 50. You do the same thing for transparency. And the last thing we need to do is grab, at the bottom we've got set pen size to. And I've called it brush size, but you can rename this this variable to pen size if you like. That's the really nice thing about Scratch. If you rename a variable, it renames it everywhere, so it still works. Makes it it's very easy to rename variables in Scratch. Much harder in other languages if you've already typed it out in a bunch of places. All right, so we should now have, let's see. So if we start the game, not the game. Nothing's going to happen yet, is it? Nothing's going to happen. It's because, again, we haven't got a update pen with variables. So what we need to do is we need to put this in our forever loop so that if we change these things here, it will go through and run this update pen with variables code and make sure that our pen has been updated so that we're drawing with the color that we want, that kind of thing. So we're going to put this inside our if. It's going to go right above pen down. Does that make sense? So because we need to make sure. Now we could even put it underneath go to mouse pointer. So now if we start messing around with some of these, not working. All right, let's see what's wrong. We've got update pen with variables. We've got our beginning pen variables. Yes. Brightness set to 100. Let's set brush size much higher. Hey, okay, now it's working. It's because our brightness was set to 0. And so 0 brightness means it's always black. Oh, careful there. So, once you've got that code in, you should be able to start messing with all sorts of things. Now, there's one more thing that we need to do. We can hide the pen. That might just be the best way. Yeah, that seems fine. So yeah, make sure that the pen sprite is hidden, and you can do that just in the middle right of the screen, just above where the sprites are. Click on this little eye or a little eye with a cross through it. If you click the eye with a cross through it, it makes it hidden. Because with it visible, I cannot click on the Erase All button because the pen sprite, that little black circle, is in the way. But if I make it invisible, I can click on the Erase All button. What's the other way that we could have solved that problem? There's another way that we could have solved that problem. It's in the, I think, the looks category of our code. How's everyone going? Oh, hello, Oil Cans Productions. Nice to have you here. I'll give you what we've got so far. So, AJ need help? Help, help, help. Well, AJ, you know the drill. You've got to remind me what your Scratch name is. I probably remember. It's Yo-Yo Cake. But also, you've got to tell me what's wrong, dude. You can't just say help. You can't just scream, wah, 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 I need help. in capital letters, you've got to tell me what's going wrong. Also, try and have a think about it. What's going wrong? Okay, let's have a look at yo-yo cake. It's yo-yo cake and then a number. I've lost it. Wrong place. Profile. That's where I can find my followers. And who I'm following. What's your oil cans productions? What's your Scratch name? Have I already followed you? Yo-yo cake is here. Alrighty, so that's the view all shared projects. Alright, are you on Yo-yo Cake? If so, where's your project? Have you shared it? You can't. Yo-yo Cake's 51. I'm here, dude. I don't see it. Have you not shared it and saved it? You should know better than this. You should know better than this. It's a rookie mistake. I'm going to come back in a few minutes, and hopefully it's been updated by then. Rookie mistake. Insert project title. I'll just make sure it's not here. I don't see it. It's not your featured one. It's not in your shared projects. Oh, it's on Chicken Head. See, this is why I ask. Chicken Head 897. Now, I think I'm following that already. Follow. Okay. So, everyone, let's have a look inside, shall we? Okay, rule number... Okay. Oh, it's mostly fine. I was looking at the spelling going, oh man. Okay, so. So what's gone wrong, dude? Oh, okay. All right, everyone. First thing, what do we notice? Look at this code. Do we notice anything wrong here? Answers in chat, everyone. Aside, don't worry about the spelling. That's not what's wrong. Or rather, it is wrong, but that's fine. In this case, spelling matters a lot in other coding, and it matters less in Scratch. That's not what I'm not testing your spelling. You're not in school. So it's not the spelling of color, saturation, brightness, bright NES. It just makes me think of the Nintendo Entertainment System now. We have one critical flaw. One critical flaw. Yes, you're quite right, Blake. It says change pen saturation by. But look at what the first one says. This was correct. Set pen color to. So that's what you need to change. Okay? Chicken head, you need to change. You need to set pen saturation to saturation. Otherwise, what it's going to do is it's running this forever. It's just going to make. Look at these variables. Like. It's just going to like make them go. Yeah, it's going to freak them out anyway. Because the variables are going to want to increase, because change means add or take away. It's going to want to keep adding and adding and adding and adding. So don't want that. So simple fix. That's one of the biggest mistakes I think I see people do over and over again is they use change when it should be set, or set when it should be change. All right. All righty. Yeah, no, the spelling is fine. At first, but yeah. So that's the main thing. You need to use set when you use set and change when you use change. Okay. Alrighty. So I'll give you a minute or two just to fix that, and then we are all good to go. Oh wait, did I share my project? I did not. See project page. All right, I got distracted. Okay, so Oil Cans Productions. If you want to join us, here is the project so far. File, save now. Yeah, I don't. So, yeah, don't worry about the spelling. That's not important. That's not what the mistake is. That doesn't matter. Yeah, and yeah, AGA is 8, so his spelling's pretty fine for how old he is. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that should give us enough time to get all sorted out. Is everyone up to date now? Just want to make sure you've had time to like sort that out on Chicken Head. Okay, so what we're going to do is, oh yes, Blake. I'll look at yours while we're just making sure that everyone's all ready to go for the next bit. Profile. 09 Infamous. Paint. How big can the brush size go? Okay, so let's have a feeling things are going to go a bit crazy. Okay. All right, so let's have a quick look, shall we? Let's have a quick look at see what Blake has set his brush size to go to. I need to look inside, don't I? See inside. All right, let's have a look. Change slider range. Oh my goodness. If we change it to like 300, I wonder what that's like. Minimum value 1, maximum value 300. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want it too much larger than 300, to be honest. So, what we need to do now is we need to, do you remember we made our define beginning pen variables and they're all set to 0? Let's set them all to something better than that. So I'm going to give you what I've got. I got it starting off in blue, I think, but you guys can choose what starting color you have. So first of all, let's set brightness to, I think, 100. So everyone, just to make sure we've got enough, just to make sure you're all on the same page, you're not all doing something else and distracted, everyone click on the pen sprite. Look at where you've got beginning pen variables. Have a look in there. We're going to change the numbers in these set variable to something. So we've got set brightness to 100. Set brush size to, I don't know, 5, let's go with. I think blue is 50. So set color to 50. Set saturation to, I think, 100. Set transparency to 0. Let's see what that does, because we can change this. Yeah, cool. So let's start stuff with blue. So you can kind of experiment and see what colors you can get. Yeah, 15 is like yellow. Now, one of my favorite colors is red. So I'm going to make it start off with red. So I'm going to set color to 100 at the beginning. So you guys have a bit of a play around with this. Decide what color you want your starting color to be, so that when you hit start, it's set to like your favorite color. And you'll do that inside defining beginning pen variables. This is what it starts as. Yep, that's fine. So that's pretty much everything that we need to basically have our drawing program. Basically, so. You can basically do everything that you want in here. The main thing is it's a bit hard knowing what the colors are, like what to set the brightness to and that kind of thing to get what you want. Now there's one interesting thing that we can do. Oh yeah, and if you set transparency up to like 100, it will do literally nothing. Oh, now there's one other thing as well I should mention. Once you mess with these sliders, you need to click somewhere, and then it will start working when you press spacebar. But until you click, it won't actually start working. There might be a way around that. It's possible. So that's just a limitation of this current program. But yeah, so this is kind of like a good way of seeing how we can create, art programs. So, alrighty, we'll see you, AD. We'll see you, AJ. So, one thing that we can do that I'll show you I did in my previous. I'll show you some cool stuff that I did in my my previous one. I have this little sprite here called green. I figured out what shade of green that this little block was by looking at its values here. So this is color 29, saturation 100, brightness 100, right? And so then I made a little block with that color, and when you click on this little block, it says, so it's got when this sprite clicked, set the color to 29, brightness to 100, saturation to 100, transparency to 0. Doesn't change the brush size. And then what we could do is we could duplicate these blocks. And put them up the side, and then change each of them to be a different color. So let's have a look for a nice. So I won't show you how to do this because it should be fairly straightforward. And also I'll give you the code for how to do this in the comments of this YouTube video. This might be something that you want to have a bit of an experiment with. Same color, please. Ah, there we go. Now that we've got a little blue box, I know that the color is 59. So then I just go into the code and make it so that the color changes to 59. So now, when I click on this green one, I do green. When I click on this blue one, I do blue. So you could create like an entire palette of colors going up the side of the screen. Again, so all the code that you need is very simple. When this sprite clicked, set the color, set the brightness, set the saturation, set the transparency. And there's only one way to figure out what values you want, and that's to try them out. Very, very simple. The other thing that I did was I have the pen has a few other little bits of code that makes it so that the pen goes behind the other thing so that I can still click on Erase All. Because what I actually have is I have the pen adjusts its size to the brush size. And I did this basically just through, what's the word I'm looking for? Experimentation, until I found a size of the original pen that was about right for a brush size 100. Because set size to brush size, you need that to be, yeah. I just made it bigger and smaller until it matched up. The code that I use is just set size to brush size. All right, so that's a bit of stuff to go. I will share my more advanced paint program here. Might even do a few extra colors. I'll do a red. Why not? In the time that we have left. Does anyone have any problems? Did anyone run into any issues? If not, if you're all finished, let me know. I'd love to try your paint programs in the last 5 minutes that we've got. Let's change this one to red. I'll call it red as well. And what color is that red? Color is 0. Cool. Color is, whoops, 0. So now, yeah, nice. Very nice. I'll set this brush size to go up to 300 as well. Let's say 350. Why not? Cool. So there's a few little things you can try. That you can have a look at my code, see how I did it, and build it into your own games if you like. All right, so let's have a look. How's Blake's going? Have you hit refresh recently? Let's refresh this. Make sure you've saved your game, because I want to try some of these. So yeah, cool. When we start the game, it goes to a certain color, 25, green. Good choice. Good choice. Yeah, have a bit of a play with the transparency. We haven't done much with that yet, but that's kind of interesting. You can create these kind of ghostly shapes. But if you hover for a really long time, you'll notice the ghostly sort of shapes kind of come in a bit more. You can create this kind of cool sort of spray can effect, which is kind of interesting by messing around with transparency. Yours is ready? Excellent. I'm already here. Good, good. Alrighty. Anyone else is ready to go? Alrighty. Well, if that's pretty much everything, what I'll do is share this one. So if you want to have a look, feel free to grab this one so that you can make adjustments to it. Oh, one more thing I'll just show you just quickly before we finish up, and then we'll leave it there. We'll have this as a nice short one for today. Let's see. One other thing that you can do with the pen is you can create stamps, which basically, it works exactly how you think. If you make a stamp, it like imprints the graphic that you've made of whatever this is. And it's not making clones. This is just like basically a pen thing. So you can't do anything code-wise with all of these stamps. And if you click erase all, they all disappear. So that's kind of a cute thing. You can kind of mess around with stamps for like art. You could include like some kind of stamp button that would stamp like the scratch cat or some other graphic that you like. And you could do some fairly interesting things with like changing the color. Yeah, you could do some kind of cute things with like changing the color of your stamps as well. So that's another thing to experiment with, but we won't cover that in today's session. So yeah, have a bit of a play with that. See if you can make something interesting, something cool. I'll get rid of this one here. All right, so that's pretty much everything. Next week we've got, it hasn't actually been decided yet because I'm still waiting back on some decisions from my, from the library, like what's going to be happening. But I'm pretty sure we'll have a stream. We'll probably have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Again, we might be dropping back to 2 times a week in the future, but next week, let's just keep things simple. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday again. One of those will have to be the T-Rex jumping game, because we didn't get a chance to do that one because of my power cut. So I want to catch up with that one. And as for the others, it will be a surprise. So Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 4 p.m. we'll be doing some more live-streamed coding lessons. But yeah, until I see you guys next time. So stay awesome, be cool to each other. Take care of yourselves, ninjas.